Shaquille O'Neal explains why he thinks the 76ers super team isn't going to work. The Philadelphia 76ers have had a dream off season, having landing LeBron James in free agency, Jaylen Brown via trade. James and Brown have been added to a 76ers team that already had Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid and VJ Edgecombe, and fans in Philadelphia are starting to dream about winning a championship. Optimism is sky high, but Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal isn't sure this super team is going to work. On the latest episode of The Big Podcast, co-host Adam Lefkoy, I can't pronounce his name, mentioned how Philadelphia would explode if James helps and the Sixers' 43-year title drought, and O'Neal pumped the brakes on the hype train.
The NBA offseason delivered one of the biggest headlines basketball fans have seen in years. LeBron James joining the Philadelphia 76ers instantly transformed the franchise into one of the most talked about teams in the league. On paper, the roster looks loaded with star power. Between Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, and LeBron James, many fans are already predicting an NBA championship before a single regular season game has even been played. But not everyone is buying the hype. In fact, one NBA legend believes the excitement may be hiding a much bigger problem. Shaquille O'Neal recently shared his thoughts on Philadelphia's new-look roster, and instead of celebrating the formation of another super team, he raised serious concerns about whether all these stars can actually coexist.
And as you mentioned, 43 years... Philadelphia is waiting to explode. And if he delivers it, this city will ride. Like, they will ride for LeBron.
And that's why it's not going to work, in my opinion. You just said he, right? Tyrese Maxey just worked his ass off to become the man.
Totally.
Jaylen Brown comes out.
Jaylen Brown.
So Jaylen Brown, whatever his name is. So now for Tyrese Maxey, do you back off or do you say, no, I'm still going to do what I do?
No, because he's still...
Finish. Oh, go ahead. Finish. Then Brown comes.
According to Shaq, talent has never been the biggest challenge for super teams. The real challenge is sacrifice. Every superstar enters the league expecting to dominate the basketball. Every all-star has spent years being the number one option on his team. But once several elite players are placed together, somebody has to give up shots. Somebody has to give up touches. Somebody has to accept a smaller role. And that's where Shaq believes Philadelphia could run into problems. His biggest concern wasn't even LeBron James or Joel Embiid. It was Tyrese Maxey. Over the last few seasons, Maxey has developed into one of the NBA's brightest young stars.
Tyrese Maxey is the guy who I think deserves almost all of the credit for LeBron going there, because I've never seen a young guy that the rest of the stars in the NBA respect who he is as a young player. Like, I remember I was at a party with Wade and Chris Paul, and I was like, oh, Tyrese Maxey, I've never met him. And Chris Paul was like, this is the one. Like, he's the kid that gets it. Embiid has already publicly said it's Maxey's team. He's the franchise. So Embiid, this was before all this happened.
That's my point.
But I think LeBron is at that stage of his career where he's not going to, like, fight and all this stuff and get ego based in that. They're trying to win.
Not about fighting. LeBron likes the ball. Likes to touch it.
Do you agree with that?
He gonna agree with it.
I agree to a degree.
He likes the ball.
Yeah, but he also loves making the right pass at the right time.
When injuries limited Embiid's availability, Maxey stepped forward and proved he could lead the franchise. His scoring exploded, his confidence reached another level, and many fans began viewing him as the future face of the organization. Now everything changes. Instead of being the clear primary playmaker, Maxey now shares the floor with one of the greatest players in basketball history. LeBron James has built an incredible career by controlling the pace of the game. His basketball IQ is unmatched, and his ability to create opportunities for teammates is legendary. Even at this stage of his career, he remains one of the league's smartest defensive players. But that naturally changes how everyone else plays.
Jason Tatum, they ran plays, sets. We're getting him the ball. We're starting the quarter. We're getting him the ball. We're feeding him. And Jason Tatum was actually a better willing passer. He's way more efficient as far as finding the open guy. Jaylen Brown always takes an extra dribble, and then it's too late.
Yeah. Dr. Shumper, you make some good points, but may I ask two questions?
Yeah.
When was Jaylen Brown's best year?
Last year.
Okay. When he had the ball. Not catch and go. When he has the ball, 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds, he goes to work. He's not going to have that. Now he's going to have to catch
that's
and
hard.
do it.
It's hard to say, man, coming off my best year, I got to put my ego down. Yeah. If Bron here.
Exactly.
How easy. Kevin Love was 40 and 20 people.
When LeBron has the ball, the offense often flows through him. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. It has produced championships throughout his career, but it does require teammates to adjust their games. That's exactly what Shaq was pointing out. Can Maxey remain aggressive while sharing responsibilities with LeBron? Can Jaylen Brown continue playing at an all-NBA level with fewer opportunities? Can Joel Embiid stay healthy enough to anchor the team throughout an entire season? These are legitimate basketball questions that won't be answered until the games actually begin. Shaq also discussed Jaylen Brown's role in this new lineup. Brown is coming off some of the best basketball of his career.
Isn't the first to bring this up and won't be the last. The 54-year-old previously said he feels sorry for Maxey and the 76ers after they got James and Brown. The man himself apparently doesn't share that sentiment. Maxey is reportedly willing to sacrifice for the Sixers. The 25-year-old was leading the charge in terms of recruiting James and made it clear that he would have been willing to do whatever it took to ensure things worked out. You never really felt like Maxey would cause problems. He is a class act who is desperate to win his first NBA championship. It's amazing how they're framing this. Like LeBron is the one that's going to unlock the championships after we just finished watching him lose for the last 7 years in LA. But whatever.
He's used to attacking defenses, creating his own offense, and playing with confidence. Asking a player like that to suddenly become a secondary or even third option isn't always easy. History has shown that building a championship team requires more than collecting superstar names. Chemistry matters. Communication matters. Role acceptance matters. We've seen talented rosters fail because players struggled to adjust their expectations. At the same time, we've also seen veteran stars make sacrifices that ultimately resulted in championships. That's why opinions around Philadelphia remain so divided. Some analysts believe LeBron's experience will actually make the transition easier. They argue that at this stage of his career, winning matters more than individual statistics. If that's true, perhaps he'll willingly take a smaller offensive role while helping organize the team's offense and mentoring younger teammates. Others aren't convinced.
Shaquille O'Neal says he feels sorry for Tyrese Maxey after the 76ers add LeBron James and Jaylen Brown. It says Shaq recently appeared for an interview on Stephen A. Smith's show where he spoke about his feelings on this 76ers offseason moves, where he headlined by adding LeBron James, which were headlined. Yeah, you get that. So anyway, I want to get to his comments. He said he initially repeated the sentiments from his reaction to LeBron James' announcement, where he targeted those critics who claim LeBron James is ring chasing by joining the Sixers. He said, I don't think y'all call him my man a ring chaser. See, it's funny to me that people that don't have rings are saying, oh, he's a ring chaser. No, he's chasing the chance to continue to be great, to continue to add to his legacy in his book.
They believe the sheer number of high-profile players creates natural pressure every single night. Every loss will become national news. Every disagreement will dominate sports television. Every cold shooting streak will spark debates about whether the experiment is already falling apart. That kind of attention can become exhausting over an 82-game season. Expectations are already sky high. For most NBA teams, reaching the playoffs is considered a successful season. For Philadelphia, anything short of competing for a championship will likely be viewed as disappointment. And that's exactly what makes this upcoming season so fascinating. Talent alone doesn't guarantee success. Health matters. Depth matters. Defense matters. And perhaps most importantly, the willingness of superstar players to sacrifice individual success for the ultimate team goal.
If this team starts off and maybe they don't start well or they're going to lose in the streak, you can witness a panic. And then the narratives are going to start creeping in, and there will be a scapegoat, and that scapegoat will be Joel Embiid. ESPN and these other networks and these other personalities out there have already fired their engines up already. They're already starting the blame train. It's already started. And given the fact that I know LeBron's history of how he goes to teams and they always single out someone to blame in the media, and it creates this toxic environment. He did it in LA. He did it in Philly. I mean, he did it in Cleveland. They did it in Miami with Chris Paul. It's going to be the same thing there.
Right now, nobody truly knows how this experiment will unfold. Supporters believe this could become one of the most dangerous teams in basketball. Skeptics believe the chemistry questions are too significant to ignore. Both sides have reasonable arguments. The only thing everyone agrees on is that all eyes will be on Philadelphia from opening night onward. As the debate continues, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The biggest challenge for Philadelphia may not be talent. It may be expectations. When a team assembles multiple all-star players, the pressure immediately changes. Fans stop asking whether the team will make the playoffs. Instead, they ask one question: can they win the championship? Anything less is often viewed as failure. That's the reality facing the 76ers. Every regular season loss will be analyzed. Every close game will become a talking point on sports shows. If the team struggles early, questions about chemistry will dominate headlines before the All-Star break even arrives. That's simply the reality of building a roster filled with superstar names. Another major concern is health. Joel Embiid has been one of the NBA's most dominant players when healthy, but injuries have repeatedly interrupted his seasons. LeBron James, despite continuing to perform at an elite level deep into his career, also requires careful workload management. Keeping veteran stars fresh for the postseason has become just as important as winning regular season games. If either player misses extended time, the pressure on Tyrese Maxey and Jaylen Brown increases dramatically. That's why depth could ultimately determine Philadelphia's success. Championship teams aren't built solely around star power. Role players often decide playoff series by making timely shots, defending multiple positions, and embracing responsibilities that don't always appear in the box score. History has shown that teams with balance often outperform teams relying entirely on superstar talent. Still, there's another side to this conversation. Supporters of the 76ers believe this roster possesses something many championship teams share: experience. LeBron James has played in countless high-pressure playoff games. He understands the adjustments required during a long postseason run. His leadership, basketball IQ, and ability to control the pace of a game remain among his greatest strengths. Joel Embiid knows what it feels like to fall short in the playoffs and will be motivated to finally break through. Tyrese Maxey continues to improve each season and has earned respect across the league for his work ethic and professionalism. Jaylen Brown brings championship experience and two-way versatility that every contender values. On paper, those pieces can complement each other extremely well. The real question is whether that chemistry develops naturally over time. Building trust isn't something that happens overnight. It takes months of practices, road trips, difficult losses, and shared victories before a team truly discovers its identity. That's why early season results shouldn't necessarily define Philadelphia's ceiling. Some championship teams have started slowly before finding their rhythm later in the year. Others have looked unstoppable in November only to collapse when the playoffs arrived. The NBA season is a marathon, not a sprint. Another interesting storyline will be how head coach and the coaching staff manage player roles. Who takes the final shot in close games? Who handles the ball during crucial possessions? How are minutes distributed when everyone is healthy? Those decisions become much more complicated when multiple players are accustomed to leading their previous teams. Fortunately for Philadelphia, many of these players have shown a willingness to prioritize winning over individual numbers at different points in their careers. If that mindset continues, the 76ers could become one of the league's most dangerous opponents. However, if frustrations begin to build over touches, shot attempts, or playing time, those small issues can grow into larger distractions. The media attention surrounding this team guarantees every development will receive national coverage. One losing streak could spark endless debates. One disagreement could generate days of discussion across television and social media. That's simply the price of being one of the NBA's biggest stories. Meanwhile, teams like the Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, Cavaliers, and other Eastern Conference contenders won't simply step aside because Philadelphia assembled a talented roster. The road to the NBA Finals remains incredibly difficult. Every contender believes it has a legitimate chance to compete for a championship. That makes the margin for error extremely small. Ultimately, Shaquille O'Neal's comments highlight an important basketball discussion rather than providing a prediction. He's asking whether multiple star players can successfully sacrifice individual opportunities for team success. It's a question every super team eventually faces. Some answer it successfully. Others never do. Until games are actually played, nobody knows which category this Philadelphia team will fall into. One thing is certain, though. The 76ers will be among the most closely watched teams in the NBA this season. Every victory will strengthen the belief that this roster can contend for a title. Every defeat will fuel new questions about chemistry, rotations, and long-term expectations. Whether you're optimistic or skeptical, this team promises one thing above all else: drama, excitement, and constant debate. Now it's time for the players to settle the conversation where it matters most. Not on podcasts, not on television, not on social media, but on the basketball court. If they win, the critics will go silent. If they struggle, the questions will only grow louder. And that's exactly why this could become one of the most fascinating NBA seasons.